Hey everyone and welcome. So, if you're learning Java, you've probably spent a lot of time writing code completely from scratch. But what if I told you there's a kind of secret toolkit that all the pros use to build amazing software way faster and more reliably? Let's dive in and uncover it.
You know the feeling, right? You need to get some input from the user, so you start trying to figure out how to handle keyboard entry again. Or you need to find a square root, and you're trying to remember the formula. It just feels like you're constantly reinventing the wheel.
Well, there is a much better way. The best programmers, they don't start from a blank page. They use these huge collections of pre-written, highly tested code to handle all the common stuff. And that, right there, is the key to writing powerful applications efficiently.
To really get how this works, we're going to use a simple but really powerful analogy. I want you to think of these collections of code, we call them libraries, as just giant boxes of Legos. And their instruction manuals, well, we call those APIs.
This slide just lays it out perfectly. The library, that's your giant box of Lego bricks, all the pre-made pieces you could ever possibly need. The API, that stands for Application Programming Interface. That's the instruction manual. It shows you what each piece does and exactly how to connect it. And your program? That's the awesome thing you build with all of it.
So why even bother with libraries? Well, it comes down to three huge reasons. First, time. You are not reinventing the wheel. Second, reliability. This code was written by absolute experts and has been tested for years. And third, standardization, which makes it way easier for programmers to work together and, actually read each other's code.
Okay, so we've got the box of bricks. Now we need to figure out how to read the instruction manual, the API. The best way to think of an API is like a contract. It tells you exactly how you're allowed to use the code that's inside the library.
This brings us to a super important concept called abstraction. The API is basically a restaurant menu. It lists what you can order, those are the method names, and your options for customizing it, those are the parameters. The key here is you don't need to see what's happening in the kitchen. You just trust that when you order, you'll get your food. The API hides all that complicated kitchen logic from you.
And this right here leads to a critical insight. Your real superpower as a programmer isn't memorizing thousands of commands. No way. It's knowing how to efficiently find what you need in the documentation. That is the single most important skill for your growth, period.
Now, the official Java documentation can look a little intimidating at first, but it's really a simple four-step process. First, you find the right category or package. Then, you select the specific tool or class that you need. From there, you just scan the list of available actions in the method summary, and finally, you click one to get all the specifics in the method detail. That's it. It's that straightforward.
All right, enough theory. Let's actually see these tools in action. We're going to look at three essentials from the Java Toolkit: the math class for calculations, the scanner class for user input, and the array list class for managing flexible lists of data.
First up is the math class. A really key concept here is that all of its methods are static. This just means they belong to the class itself, kind of like a shared utility knife, not to a specific object that you create. You don't make a math object, you just call the method directly on the class, like math.strt. And because math is in the core java.lang package, it's automatically available. You don't even need an import statement. Let's look at a classic task, getting a random integer between 1 and 10. The math.random method gives you a decimal between 0.0 and, well, almost 1.0. So first we scale it by multiplying by 10. Then we cast it to an int, which just chops off the decimal part, giving us a number from 0 to 9. And finally, we just shift the whole range up by adding 1. And boom, there you have it, a random integer from 1 to 10.
Okay, now for getting user input, we use the scanner class. Now, unlike math, its methods are not static. What that means is you first have to create your own personal scanner object to use it. And because scanner lives in the java.util package, not java.lang, you have to explicitly tell Java where to find it with this import statement right at the top of your file.
Next up is a real workhorse, the array list. Think of it as a flexible list that can grow and shrink whenever you need it to. Just like scanner, it's not static, so you have to create an object to use it. And from there, you have these simple, powerful methods to add items, get an item by its position, set a new value, or just check the list's current size. It is incredibly useful.
So, as you start using all these new tools, you're definitely going to run into a few common roadblocks. But don't worry, they're actually pretty easy to fix once you know what to look for. Let's go over the most frequent mistakes.
This is the big one, confusing static methods with non-static or instance methods. You can't call an instance method, like nextLine, directly on the scanner class. You have to call it on an object you created. And on the flip side, you can't create an object for the math class. Its methods are static, so you call them directly on the class name itself. Getting this distinction right is absolutely fundamental.
And here are just a few more quick tips. Always remember the import statement for classes outside of java.lang. Pay close attention to what a method returns. Is it a number, a string? And please, don't just guess method names. A 10-second check of the docs can save you 10 minutes of frustrating debugging.
So, you've now seen the secret toolkit. You know what libraries and APIs are, you know how to read the documentation, and you know how to use some of the most powerful tools out there. This is your new superpower. So, let's talk about how to practice it.
Let this sink in for a second, because it is the most liberating idea in all of programming. The goal is not memorization, it's resourcefulness. Being a great programmer means knowing how to find the answers. The documentation is your best friend.
Okay, here's a concrete plan you can start today. First, bookmark the official Java API documentation page. Just do it. Next, pick a class you already use a lot, like string, and just read through its list of methods. I guarantee you'll find amazing things you never knew it could do. Then try working backwards. Think of a goal, and then go hunt for the class that can help you achieve it. And finally, write tiny little programs just to test out one new method at a time. This is how you build real, lasting skill.
So remember, you are no longer starting from a blank page. You have this massive toolkit full of expert-level components and the instruction manual to use them all. The only question left is, what incredible thing are you going to build first?